Hello, my name is Scott, and I'm reviewing the Topo Athletic Mountain Racer shoe. Quick disclaimer, I received these shoes for testing by RunRepeat.com, but I'm attempting to be as unbiased as possible in my review, so here we go. First of all, when you find these shoes in a store, you should definitely pick them up, because the first thing that I noticed when I got these shoes was when you pick it up, it feels like a lot of shoe. Very sturdy. This bottom midsole, 25 in the front, 30 in the heel. It's just so much shoe, but it doesn't weigh that much. Like this is a size 12, it's about 11 and some change ounces. It feels like it should weigh, like just by how sturdy it is, an ounce or two more. So let's get into some of the design characteristics of the shoe. This shoe has a different upper than I'm used to getting in trail shoes. It has a nylon upper material, which is not quite waterproof. I stuck the shoe with my foot in it into a creek, and my foot did get a little damp, but it was really slow to seep through. So I would not call it waterproof, but I'm not going to put my mouth to it. I did it when they were new. I couldn't really force any air through it very easily, so I wouldn't call it breathable either. The result is it's not really that great when it's hot out. I have been testing these shoes in the late spring, early summer when it's been getting a little toasty out, running in 80 plus, 90 plus degree heat. Not great for that. However, if it's 70 or below, I'm definitely a fan of it, for one, especially on the trails. For one, it keeps the mud, the grime, and the water that might splash as you're running through the trails out of your shoes, off your feet. When I pull my sock out, or my foot out of the shoe, my sock, if it's white, it's still fairly clean, which is impressive. That's very nice. But I don't love it. It's not my thing. I wouldn't typically choose this because I am just a very sweaty individual. My feet get really sweaty even when it's cold out, so I will typically go with a mesh shoe, which can dry a lot faster. I did notice that these actually dried fairly quickly, even after they got pretty sopping wet from my sweat. Next day, they're pretty good to go. Next is the midsole, which is this area right here, and the outsole. So the midsole is pretty substantial, and that's it's not terribly flexible, but it's not too rigid. I'm not sure if there's a rock plate in it, but if there isn't, then I don't think Topo Athletic needs to add one, because there's enough protection just in the thickness and the stiffness of this midsole material. It provides a ride which is actually fairly responsive because it's not cushy. I didn't think I was going to like how stiff it was, but as I started running, especially taking turns on the trail, kind of pushing it a little bit, I appreciated the responsiveness. When you put your foot down, you don't sink down very much, but after 12 miles on the trail, my feet were still fine. So these shoes they really egg you to keep on going on with more and more miles. And then this outsole right here, the Vibram Mega Grip outsole, I am blown away by it. Extremely grippy. Wherever you put your foot down, it is going to stay there, which inspires confidence, helps you run even faster on the trails, have even more fun. It was just an absolute riot to run on muddy, soppy trails, even rocky trails. It was pretty good because, once again, with the stiffness of the midsole, I didn't really have to worry about stepping on any sharp rocks or anything like that, because you just cruise right over it. It absorbs it really nicely and spreads that impact throughout the shoe. So didn't think I would love it, but I'm definitely a fan. On to the ride and comfort. I mentioned the ride a little bit earlier, that it's very responsive, you can just really push yourself. The comfort is good in these shoes. I might even say very good. It's right on that line. With trail shoes, I feel like some of the comfort is sacrificed, especially in this toe box region, which Topo Athletic typically has a larger toe box than other shoes for added comfort, but I feel like they sacrifice just a little bit of that comfort so that the upper hugs your foot just a little more to give you a little bit more security, so that when you're taking tight turns, your shoe doesn't kind of flop over. If you've ever worn, I've been running in the Ultra Escalantes on the road, those things can't turn at all because the shoe just completely flops over because the knit upper, all it's doing is just keeping a sole to your foot, and that's it. But these, they've really hugged the foot. It gives it a pretty good sock-like feel. However, I think that there's just a little bit of room for improvement in the comfort of these shoes. So that would be a challenge for Topo Athletic in the next iteration, is try to make them just a little more comfortable. I think it's there. I've run in other trail shoes, specifically your RunVenture 2s, which I love. I have them, the Topo Athletic RunVenture 2s. Love them. They're a little more comfortable as far as how much room there is in them, but I don't feel like that sacrifices how well the shoe actually grabs the foot. As far as protection and durability, which you definitely want from a solid, rugged trail shoe like this, great protection from the bottom with how thick the sole is, like I mentioned before. The durability, and also from the this mesh, or not mesh, nylon upper. One thing that I always worry about a little bit, especially running up in the Northeast where I am, is as you're running through trails, if it's a particularly narrow trail which has a lot of brush and whatnot, occasionally sticks can kind of just go straight through a mesh shoe and poke you in the foot, and that hurts a lot. With this guy, don't have to worry about that at all. So that is very nice. I'm not really worrying about this upper tearing or having anything puncture it. Durability-wise, the sole, looking great. I've put 80 miles on these shoes, roughly a majority on the road, but still some substantial trail running as well. I feel like the road would probably wear them out a little bit more, but these lugs, they are still pretty substantial. I feel like this sole will easily last the 500 miles that I typically get out of shoes. However, I am noticing some build quality issues with the where the upper attaches to the midsole, specifically right here. This is peeling apart right there, and right here, and it's doing the same on the other shoe as well. And I noticed this after about 50 miles, and that shouldn't be happening 50 miles into a premium rugged trail shoe like this. The fit of the shoe is pretty true. I'm a 12 in most shoes, 12 and a half in some of the Saucony shoes, and I could probably go up a half size. So if you were in between sizes, like, you know, you switch between 11, 11 and a half, go with 11 and a half. So we get to who is the target audience for these shoes. Once again, don't have the promotional material. They're called the Mountain Racer. So obviously, pretty rugged trail running in mind. If I were selling these shoes, I would say that it would be more geared at an ultra runner or a hiker. Someone who's doing longer days on the trail, who's doing not something in hot weather. Remember, this is not breathable. So if you're doing something when it's 70 degrees or less, which is a lot of places, that's on the trail, maybe even on the mountains, that would be ideal for these shoes. If I'm going on a ultra run, I'm going to go with these shoes, so long as it's not really hot out. If I'm going on a hike with some of my friends, and I've done that actually a few times, I've hiked in these shoes, I'm going to lace these guys up because they are just superb for hiking. The traction is exactly what you want. They're not too supportive, and they're also very lightweight, so you can hike for an entire day in them, and your feet don't feel really tired, especially compared to big, heavy hiking boots. So finally, to conclude, these are good shoes. Very good shoes, almost very good shoes. I would give them just an 89 out of 100. The grip is absolutely ludicrous. I love, surprisingly, the stiffer foam. The shoe is a little on the rigid side, but I don't think that detracts from it. I still can just run these guys for days. However, the build quality issues, the room for improvement with the comfort, and then finally the non-mesh upper, the upper that's just not breathable at all. It detracted a little bit from my experience. However, I run in the winter outside as well. I don't have a gym membership, and it's snowy here, there's leaves on the ground, there's ice, so I typically wear trail shoes even if I'm out on the road running in the winter, and you best believe it that I'm going to be lacing these guys up for pretty much the entire winter to make it through running outside. So I hope you have found this review informative. This is Scott reviewing the Topo Athletic Mountain Racer. Definitely a worthwhile shoe. Otherwise, I wish you guys safe and enjoyable runs in your future.